Hi, this is Mike Torsha, and welcome to Live Well and Thrive. I have a very special guest that I'm bringing back from a few weeks ago. It's Dr. Harari. Thank you for coming in.
Yep.
And he's brought his colleague, Kurt Fullerton. And Kurt has an incredible company. He provides everything from stem cell, exosomes, all type of medical devices that help regenerate the body and help live a more youthful life. But what you're going to hear today is also they have a guest that's going to be on air in a few minutes to talk about stem cell. What are stem cells? What's the highest quality stem cell? So you need to watch this episode. You're going to learn how to live a better quality life and look and feel 20 years younger. So enjoy the show. So Dr. Harari, please talk about what's going on with Kurt and the company and what you're doing with the stem cells.
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me back. I love your show. I love you. We get to see you every day in our clinic. It's really fun. But yeah, we met at A4M in December. He came in. We were doing a booth for the red light, and we hit it off. He told me what he was all about, and we had like a energy, and I'd been researching stem cells now I've known about it for a long time, but I started getting really serious about it in the last 6 months. And Kurt let me know that he was deep into the whole field and was working with a lot of different labs around the country. And we've been, basically working towards, bringing the stem cells into the clinic so that we can help, further help the patients with longevity and chronic disease too, like helping people, deal with chronic disease and overcome a lot of it through this special therapy, which is extremely powerful. I think it's the medicine of the future, really.
Well, I know that today stem cells being put in skincare cream.
Yep.
Things for growing your hair.
Yep.
Rejuvenate the hair, Yep. So it's being applied in many other ways, not just being injected, for the injured joint areas. I do know that so many people are confused. They don't know which are the best stem cells. Is it from the umbilical cord? I mean, how maybe your own body can make it. You have the shock wave that stimulates your own production of stem cells. So is there certain categories of stem cell, and how is that? Maybe Kurt, maybe you can answer that.
Yes, there's different kinds of stem cells. But they're all still stem cells at the end of the day. So some come from umbilical cord extractions, some come from bone marrow, some come from plants. Now they're doing them with the animals, and now they're even going into some foods. There's like almond milk and goat milk and different things like that where they're able to extract, stem cells. So, and then there's also exosomes, which is the way I describe exosomes is if you have a cinnamon roll, right? A stem cell is the cinnabon, and then an exosome is the center of a cinnabon.
the best part.
Yeah. So, and those have different, more cosmetic, advantages. But yeah, stem cells are definitely becoming a household name, and there's a lot of myths out there about them. And we're not here to talk about, what specific diseases that we can do for it. It's more just about, in generalities, what is a stem cell? A lot of people don't really know. They've heard of it. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Like everybody knows what it is, but they really don't know what it looks like. So that's why we're here today.
But one thing I want to say though, that I found out, because I thought you had to go out of the country to do this. And I found out that, we can get it done here legally. We just can't make medical claims. Like you said, we can't say we're treating any specific illness, but it can be used for wellness, rejuvenation, regeneration, things like that.
Well, I find that today people want to know how to feel more youthful, how to look more youthful, and just overall feel better. And I know from reading the studies, I get all the medical journals, and the reports showing the results that people getting from stem cell, whether you're putting it on a cream or on your hair or an injection, it seems to be rapidly helping you heal the injured areas of the body. And so I want to make sure people know, our viewers know, like, hey, if I'm going to get stem cell, what is the highest level? Is it the umbilical cord? Is it from what cells? What is the highest level? Because, like with protein, you can have whey protein, you can have beef protein, chicken-based protein, or you can have some kind of soy or pea protein, but of course, the highest level would be like the whey or the beef. So, and with the exomes and the stem cell, what is the highest quality stem cell?
Well, I brought a guest with me today, Dr. Faulkner, and he's an expert in this field, and I'm going to let him kind of answer that question because I'm not a doctor. So, but I mean, I do know quite a bit, but I'm going to.
Why don't you introduce him and give him a little bit about his background so
Okay.
the audience knows?
Yeah. So I have Dr. Scott Faulkner. He's one of the top regenerative medicine providers in the country. Out of Colorado, and has been doing it for a very long time. A lot of medical journals, a lot of research, and that's the main thing that we want to get across today is that all stem cell, everything that we talk about is all for research. Okay, some other places around the world they're not doing research; they're just doing it. Well, here everything we do, every single person in this country that gets stem cells is into a research-based program. Okay, so we're going to look at what they're doing before and then what they're doing after, and that's really important because we really can't grow, this great thing without knowing what it's doing. Okay, and the only way we do that is by doing the research and making sure we see it all the way through.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, great. Well, let's have the doctor speak up and share his thoughts about stem cell and what people should look for when they're looking to start on a stem cell program.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. So there was a study done in 2013 answering the question you just asked, which one are the most potent stem cells and last the longest? And it was umbilical cord derived stem cells versus bone marrow derived versus adipose. So you can actually get a liposuction. They can separate the fat cells from the stem cells. And as you would imagine, the umbilical cord stem cells blew away bone marrow and adipose derived. So we now know the answer is umbilical cord is the most potent and the longest lasting. So if you're looking out there, your orthopedic surgeon is telling you, oh, I can do a surgical procedure in the iliac crest of your hip. I can suck out your own bone marrow. I can put it back. I give the analogy of me taking the oil out of your vehicle, charging you thousands of dollars and putting it back in because those stem cells are already in your body. They're old, they're tired. And we know as we age, we get fewer and fewer stem cells and they're less and less potent. But when you get them from the umbilical cord of a baby that was just born alive, healthy, there is nothing more powerful than that. Research has also shown us they will live up to 6 to 8 months in the human body. So my very first patient was my uncle who had Lou Gehrig's. That's how I got into stem cells. I'm classic allopathic trained, internal medicine, critical care. And there was nothing in 2018 for my uncle. I gave him umbilical cord derived stem cells. I took this man who was wheelchair bound and was able to get him to stand at his bathroom sink for 2.5 minutes, gave him his life back.
Well, so now he used the highest quality stem cell, correct?
Correct.
And
Because
where did you inject it? In his spine?
So that was an IV infusion.
Okay.
So if you have a bad knee, I'm going to inject it into your bad knee because the blood flow to that knee and the cartilage has very poor blood flow. So if I want to regenerate the cartilage, and this is actually your own cells regenerating themselves. So exactly what was said, the exosomes are the proteins and peptides wrapped in a vesicle that the stem cell creates. Well, there's hundreds of thousands of these different proteins and peptides to heal every part of the human body. That's what a stem cell does. He has that ability. So by giving you stem cells intravenous, we know that they will travel to your lung and your liver. And you're thinking, well, my lung and my liver are fine. I get that. But what we want is the blood flow across those organs, carrying every one of those proteins and peptides to heal your brain, to heal your heart, to heal your lungs, to heal your kidneys, to kill your big toe. Now, because the blood flow in a joint, if you have a bad knee, bad hip, bad shoulder, those proteins and peptides don't have the greatest chance to get there because the blood flow stinks. So we inject it right into your knee, right into your hip, right into your shoulder if it's a joint problem. But if I'm treating you for multiple sclerosis, if I'm treating you, again, these have not been approved by the FDA for these purposes. It's all research based. But those proteins and peptides go through the entire circulatory system. So I can't tell you how many people I've treated for, say, Parkinson's. They say, you know what? My knee feels better too.
And that's through IV, correct?
That is IV. But if I'm doing it in your knee, it's a joint injection.
Well, I know a lot of celebrities have been getting injections in their back, their neck, and their knees,
Mhm.
and their hips. And what I found quite shocking is it's the prices are like 4 to 5,000 just for that one treatment, and they usually have to get it at least twice a week. So how can people afford these stem cell treatments, spending 4 or 5 thousand dollars each time? Isn't there maybe a more time release stem cell that people can take that maybe will last longer? So if they have to spend that kind of money, they get their money's worth. I just think your
So
opinion.
that's why you want the umbilical cord, because we know it lives 6 to 8 months. So if I inject your knee, I'm going to tell you come back in a year and let's see how much improvement you've obtained. Um, we're starting to do research on discs and other organ systems, but that's why you want the highest quality, because this is not cheap. And why is it not cheap? Because the FDA mandates that these stem cell companies have to abide by the 503B pharmaceutical manufacturer standard. And right now, to my knowledge, there's only one company in the entire United States that has met that threshold, but it's millions of dollars just to get that designation. So if on the producer side, it's millions of dollars, unfortunately, as providers, our cost is going to be very high as well. Then you throw in malpractice. It's not going to be cheap.
Now, for instance, if someone wanted to get stem cell, but I guess the strongest, most powerful stem cell, would you be able to get a more powerful stem cell outside of the US because of all the strict regulations? Because I get contacted from people all over the world from my show, just watching my show. I've got
Mhm.
people in Costa Rica, people in Bogota, Colombia, saying they have the strongest, the most powerful stem cell exomes and so on.
Mhm.
Is there truth to it? Outside of the country, they have different regulations and they can have a more potent stem cell or exome?
So the potency is not higher than what you get from umbilical cord. Now, in that vein of umbilical cord, there's also Wharton's jelly. Okay. But that's still the same potency or strength of a stem cell as the umbilical cord blood. So in one case, the umbilical cord blood, they just strip the blood, send it down to the lab in Orlando, Florida, is who I use, and then they destroy the red blood cells so that you don't get a transfusion reaction. Because if you had type A blood, the baby had type B, you would have a transfusion reaction. But because the red blood cells are destroyed, a stem cell does not create an allergic reaction in your body. Okay.
Right.
So if you're using umbilical cord or even Ward's jelly, so if you take a garden hose and you cut it long ways or in half, if you've noticed, there's different layers to that garden hose. You have the rubber inside, then there's usually a membrane, a mesh membrane on the outside of that, and then you have the plastic coating on the outside. So that's the umbilical cord. In between two of those layers is a gelatinous layer called Wharton's jelly, and it is also loaded with a bunch of stem cells. The downside to Wharton's jelly is now they have to take that tissue because they chop it up. They have to put it in a bath to destroy the tissue to leave the stem cells behind. But they're not more potent than what you get from the umbilical cord. But we know that those are the best premium product you can get compared to bone marrow, compared to adipose derived, compared to amniotic fluid, dental pulp. So umbilical cord is the most potent cells that you can get, and the research has settled that long
So,
time ago.
so say someone went to Dr. Harari's facility, Transformational Healing Universe here in Beverly Hills, and he wanted to feel more youthful. He's getting, aches and pains, and he feels he has a little bit of insomnia or some other issues, but just doesn't feel youthful anymore.
Mhm.
Would you suggest he goes on an IV of the exomes and stem cell combination, or would you suggest just to inject in the areas where he feels maybe he has that severe arthritis?
So I love the IV infusion. This is what I do in my clinic here in Colorado. If you're looking for regeneration to turn back the clock, what we call the epigenetic clock, to turn that back, the IV is the premier way to go. Because remember what I said, that stem cell produces every single protein and peptide known to the human body, whereas an exosome is one. So there are specific exosomes which will help your hair grow. But we use that in conjunction with the stem cells so you get everything. And it's far superior than to something like PRP. So I know a lot of these clinics are still using PRP. That is 15-year-old, 20-year-old technology. So the problem with PRP is when they draw your blood, they spin it down. The platelet is not a living cell. So when we spin it down, you get this clear coat, what we call the Buffy coat, right, of plasma. Well, we've identified 1,500 proteins and peptides, exosomes, in that layer. But with the stem cell, you get every single one, thousands upon thousands in the human body. And because the platelet is not a living cell, once I give it to you in 7 days, every one of those proteins and peptides has been gobbled up by your body. But if you want the ongoing for 6 to 8 months, you want the stem cell. So if you want the best of the best, you do stem cells.
But in the stem cell, would there also be the exomes blended into that intravenous?
So yeah, when I say proteins and peptides, so sometimes we'll use exosomes to jumpstart somebody feeling better, right? Just know that it's very short-lived, but there are exosomes that are specific for cartilage regrowth. There's exosomes specific for hair regrowth. So if you want to jumpstart it, because the stem cell is that very slow, like a cooker, right? It takes a long time, but you get the best result at the end. Whereas the exosomes will speed that process up at the front side.
Okay, so what you're saying is the, I guess, cocktail that you create is intravenous.
Yes.
How long, or how much is in that? You know, like when you go for donation of blood, they show a pint. Is it a pint? Is it half a pint? So if you go for intravenous treatment, how much is actually put into the body?
Okay, so this little vial is 1 cc. That particular vial that I'm holding up, and I'm showing the label back towards myself so you can't read it on purpose. But there is 1 million mesenchymal stem cells. Okay, so let's talk about the different types of stem cells. I call them chocolate and vanilla for ease of memorization. So the chocolate stem cells are called hematopoietic, heme meaning blood. So those are what we want if you had a blood cancer, leukemia, lymphoma, myeloma. You go to the oncologist, he gives you the bad news, you got blood cancer. We're going to give you chemotherapy, we're going to smoke your bone marrow, and we're going to replace it with donor. So instead of one vial, there's at least 25 cc's that we put in your body. Those have actually been approved for over 30 years by the FDA. But in that same vial are the vanilla cells, the mesenchymal stem cells. It's the mesenchymal stem cells that can make every tissue in the human body: eyeball, heart, brain, skin, kidney, big toe tissue, everything. So it's really on the regenerative side, the vanilla cells that we want. So what I have found in my practice is I don't give anybody less than 3 of these vials because we just don't see the great results, and I want great results. So oftentimes I'll combine at least 3 of these vials, sometimes 5, 6, 10. Unfortunately, it's all because of money, but that IV infusion takes a few minutes and you're good for 6 to 8 months.
Wow. How quickly can someone see a change, whether it's even just feeling a change, not saying they're looking more youthful or stronger, less pain. How quickly can a person actually feel results?
So anecdotally, I've had people go home, call me back saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm already feeling better." Do I promise that? I never promise that. I always say, give me 2 months before you'll notice a change. But have I had people in a day, in a week? Absolutely.
Okay. And then another thing is, so for instance, if a patient came to you, or maybe went to Dr. Harari's facility here in Beverly Hills, and they wanted to have this treatment, will people like Dr. Harari be able to provide this, or do they have to come and see you?
No, as a physician, he can order through the same company that I order through. We're kind of pioneers. We're lone wolves out there. We're trying to educate other providers in stem cells because, again, I'm classic allopathic trained. I did my residency through UMass, right up the street from Harvard and Boston General. And I had about 30 seconds of stem cell education in embryology class as a first-year medical student. It was because my uncle developed Lou Gehrig's that I had to go out and I had to become an expert on my own. So I have learned all this knowledge over many, many years. So we're trying to educate other doctors, but right now there's a huge push to, if it's not a pill from Big Pharma, I can't give it to you. So we're trying to educate, open eyes at this point in time. So we're kind of lone wolves out there right now.
Aren't you concerned because Big Pharma is so powerful that they may end up cutting some kind of deal with the FDA where now you have to get the stem cell through one of these big drug companies and make it a prescribed treatment?
Well, I'm ready for that fight. I know it's coming, but they've already kind of shot the first shot across our bow. And that happened a few years ago, right before COVID hit. Because here in Colorado, their modus operandi was some of these companies were sending these cute girls in short skirts to court providers. And in Colorado, it was mostly chiropractors. Well, in the state of Colorado, a chiropractor is not considered an independent provider, so he cannot do injections or infusions. So what they would do is they would hire a nurse practitioner to do the procedure for them. They would have a conference or a seminar at the local Holiday Inn. Big come and get a free steak dinner, learn about stem cells. Well, it was a sales pitch. And when they did that, it was high pressure. So the state board started getting a lot of pressure, and so did the FDA from big pharma. They're like, you need to put the genie back in this bottle because we can't have people getting cured or getting great health because then there's no need for our drugs. And so our state board and the FDA kind of just cut the knees out from the entire industry. That's why it went quiescent for several years. Well, because I don't make those claims and I treat people as individuals, I didn't get that knock on my door saying, hey, and I always couch it saying the FDA has not approved these on the regenerative side, even though for 30 years, these same cells have been approved for the cancer side.
So if someone comes to Dr. Harari and wants to get a stem cell treatment, whether it's injected into the certain muscle group or joint or intravenous, what claims can he make? So if they take this stem cell formulation, what can he say the patient can receive from it with legally? What is he allowed to say?
So if you go on PubMed, that's the website that the NIH has, and it has all the research around the globe. So what I do is I show the patients the research that's been done in South Korea and in Israel and in China and all the other countries legally. And I'm saying, here's the studies. Now it's not in the United States, but if you believe the science, here it is. And that way, Dr. Harari doesn't have to run afoul of the FDA. And so long as he never makes a claim of a cure and tells the patient, this is regenerative medicine, this has not been approved, this is all research-based, then he's totally fine.
No, I get that because I figured that's what you have to do because the last thing you want is the FDA after you, and then
exactly,
they'll shut you down. Now, it's so funny you had mentioned with the drug companies a few years ago, they actually tried to make protein prescription requirement because they felt it was so powerful, and the drug companies were kind of pushing it. I mean, think about it. You have all these athletes, all these bodybuilders, taking in mass amounts of protein, and they saw that there was a lot of money being made. So they're like, hey, we want a part of that. And that's why it really worries me because, I mean, look at Ozempic and Mounjaro, some of these weight loss drugs. Now they call weight loss drugs, even though it's medication designed and created for diabetes. The FDA approves it safe for weight loss, which we know there's so many adverse effects and people are having such severe health issues after taking the drug, not even during it alone, but after they went off, they're still having significant health issues. So it worries me about the drug company because this, I think, is an incredible way to heal people. I mean, I'm anxious to actually try this intravenously because I want to see how I feel. Because I tell people, hey, they're always saying, hey, I've got this great product. Well, I go, look, I want to try it for like 90 days. And I want to see and feel a difference because otherwise I'm not going to talk about it on my show. Like when you told me about the red light, the trifecta red light bed, I was like a little skeptical. Well, now it's been about probably 120 days. And I got to tell you something. Every day I call you up and ask, can I come in? I mean, I love the way I feel, not just being in the bed. It's euphoric, but my skin, my hair, my joints, I move freer. I'm more powerful in the gym. I sleep better and I see the healing benefits. So when Dr. Harari shared with me what you're doing, I was like, I'm in. But I'd love for you sometime, if you can, come down to Beverly Hills, maybe do a seminar, and then we could do a feature segment on the show and show you talking with groups of people at the healing facility that he has here in Beverly Hills and really educate a lot of practitioners that would love the opportunity to have this high quality stem cell treatment. Plus, Kurt has all these great devices for regenerative methods of healing the body that not just with the stem cell, but definitely for sure, I want to invite you to come out whenever you want. And we'll do something really special feature on what you've done with this creation of stem cell, whether it's intravenous or injected. But I definitely telling you, I've read a lot of studies. I've heard other people swear how great it is. So I'm a believer 100%. So thank you.
Yeah. And the great thing is God created the stem cell, right? So this is not coming from big pharma. You can't get any better than this.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. But, like when I go to Dr. Harari's facility, it is a healing university because there's every aspect of regeneration. I mean, share with the viewers some of the things that you offer there that I've never seen in one place.
Well, we have hyperbaric, which is really powerful. That turns on your endogenous stem cells. We have pulse PMF, which is high-powered pulsed magnetic fields, which raises your cell voltage and stimulates healing in stem cells. And then we have the stem wave, which is regenerative endogenous stem cell therapy, getting your own stem cells to activate and go into the joint to heal the joint. But the thing is, like, everything we do supports stem cells in the body, and what this doctor's talking about is just bringing it to another level, because now we can treat much more chronic things when somebody has a more degenerative thing like MS or ALS or things where what we do can only be palliative, but when you go to the level of these stem cells, now you're seeing true miracles happening.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And Kurt, what are some of the devices you have and services you offer with your company?
Yeah, and just to back on that too, the number one question I get at my clinics or with the providers that I'm working with is, are stem cells safe? And there's never been one claim that a stem cell killed somebody or made them sick or gave them a disease. So stem cells are very safe. So, but what I do is very similar to Dr. Hari. All of the devices that we have are all designed to work together. It's not just, on a baseball field, if you only have a center fielder and that's it, you're probably not going to do too well. So whether it's stem cells, whether it's pain devices, electromagnetic therapy is really, really popular right now. Going back to the Tesla days and all that stuff where, your body's made up of blood, water, bone, cells, but nobody ever takes into consideration the electricity that your body is also made up of. And medicine has never been really able to figure out how to incorporate that and how to make it so it can heal yourself. And now they have with some of these electromagnetic therapy devices. So
isn't it you also used at these med spas for tightening the skin?
Yes.
And burning fat in certain areas?
Yeah.
Wow. We'll have to do a separate segment on that because I know the viewers will want to hear about that for sure, 100%. Yeah. But Jay, I want to thank you all for coming on, and this has been very, very informative and educational, and I'm sure people will be writing in, asking more questions, but let's definitely do this again and hopefully get the doc out here from Colorado to share what he's doing in person and really educate people so they can come to your facilities and get help.
That would be wonderful. We're all about helping people and getting them better naturally. That's
exactly. Yeah.
That's the key,
Well, thank you very much. Well, this is Mike Torsha signing off, but I want to please ask you, we need your support. Please subscribe. It's important. Thank you for watching. Hey, thanks for watching this episode. Got great news. The merch is ready. You're going to see an array of all kinds of great products. Go to operationfitness.com. If you want to order anything, click on my store. Thanks for your support.